Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today we'll be presenting MIC 254 case study presentation, which is the art of food processing and preservation. Without further ado, I'll be introducing each of our group mates today, which I will start off with myself, Muhammad Afif bin Muhammad Ramli, Nur Kamina Natasha binti Nur Hisham, Muhammad Irfan bin Muhammad Rizwan, and lastly, Shazmira binti Muhammad Amran. Next slide. So to kick off our presentation, I will be explaining the objective of our case study today. So number one, to introduce to consumers on how food at mainstream fast food restaurants are processed to be delivered to the customers. So we want to explain on how the food is delivered to the customers and the origins of McDonald's. Number two, recognizing the issues that come with the process of production of the food. We want to address to all of our viewers today the problems that come with the way that McDonald's is processing our food. And number three, employing strategies focused around enhancing food products to further boost new customers to the product. So we want to give new ideas to McDonald's on how they can improve the way they prepare our food and the way that they handle, the way they preserve their food. So the next part, I'll give this part to Shazmira. So without further ado, she can begin.
Okay, so before we talk about the food process, we're going to see where does it all start and where does our favorite fast food come from. So next slide. So McDonald's was an American fast food chain that is founded in 1940s by a pair of siblings from Manchester, New Hampshire, United States. They were first served as a restaurant and they soon evolved into a hamburger stand. The hamburger stand is quite famous. So after gaining much fame from its surroundings, the company or the restaurant will soon becoming a franchise, which is now famous worldwide. Next. So this is the pair of siblings that first founded McDonald's that we know today, which is Richard McDonald and Maurice McDonald. Next slide. The restaurants often bought their appliances from a salesman called Ray Kroc. Ray Kroc was intrigued by how well the restaurant's business is going and how they bought the appliances that were meant for a large scale business. So he introduced to the brothers about the format that he created that can make the burgers accessible at low price and can produce in a large amount. So the brothers were convinced, and then he soon started to make business with them and open up a franchise in 1944 at the east of Mississippi River, located in Illinois. So his vision, Kroc vision, is that he will open up 1,000 restaurants across the U.S. And with the help of his vision and his marketing, it helps to make McDonald's grow bigger and more well known. So next slide. So this is Ray Kroc in front of his franchise eating the iconic McDonald's hamburger. So next. So next, I will then explain a little bit about McDonald's history in Malaysia. So the first McDonald's franchise is opened in Bukit Bintang, Kuala Lumpur in the year of 1982. It is a well-known brand that is known for its diversity and integrating the country's cultural food into their menu. They're not shy to incorporate it while still keeping their identity, which is mainly made of hamburger. And they change the flavor to suit the local taste bud so that they won't be shocked and to subtly introduce themselves with their foods. It is very smart move because we know that locals can find it very hard to eat foods that are foreign to them. So that is the marketing techniques. Its first franchise in Malaysia is located in Sibu, Sarawak, and to make the quality of the food stay constant throughout the country or throughout the world, they have a very specific food processing techniques that is well taught with the help of food microbiology to make the food tasted the same. So next slide. So this is the food that we get in Malaysia, such as nasi lemak McDonald and ice cream cendol. Next slide. Okay, this is the first McDonald that has opened up in Malaysia. It is the grand opening. As you can see, there are a lot of people already queuing in front of the store. So you can see that the brand is already well known from the first day. So next slide.
I'll be handing over to Irfan to explain where does McDonald's get its beef from.
Where does McDonald's get its beef from? Next. The beef that goes into your favorite burgers comes from halal certified suppliers in Australia, New Zealand, and Brazil. With approval from JAKIM and the Department of Veterinary Services in Malaysia, McDonald's is making sure that all the beef came from the freshest source possible for its beloved customers. When we talk about meat and beef preservation, beef preservation helps control spoilage by inhibiting the growth of microorganisms, slowing enzymatic activity, and preventing the oxidation of fatty acids that promote rancidity. The usual methods of preserving meat from bacteria and decay are refrigerating, freezing, curing, freeze-drying, and canning. Meats are marketed as fresh or processed goods or become ingredients of various meat products such as burgers, chickens, or chicken nuggets, including many types of sausages and luncheon meats. As we can see in this slide, they say that McDonald's beef are from halal certified suppliers in Australia, New Zealand, and Brazil. And of course, they will be transported via an airplane or cargo airplane. And in that cargo airplane, they have a specific cooling storage that will freeze and refrigerate meat so that they will ensure the freshness of the meat. Next. Where does McDonald's store its bulk frozen goods? Next. Ingredients that are used in your favorite meals are stored in specialized cooling systems, which are regularly maintained between 18 to negative 23 degrees Celsius for top quality and freshness. To ensure they always taste their best, they never compromise on their quality to ensure the best experience for its consumers. Improper food storage can lead to several problems, including bacteria and mold growth, food spoilage through natural decay, and even waste, which costs billions of dollars annually worldwide. And for a company that is as big as McDonald's itself, they are surely will target or find ways to manage their bulk frozen goods, to manage their food substances that they use in order to make their products so that none of them will be decaying or will turn out worse than they expect it will be. Next. Where does McDonald's get its buns from? Next. Arista Malaysia, a halal certified bakery in Shah Alam, delivers fresh and fluffy buns 3 to 4 times a week to their restaurants nationwide. The main ingredients used in the bakery's bun production are flour, sugar, salt, yeast, palm oil, and sesame seeds. The ingredients are simple, but not everyone can mimic the softness. As we, students of microbiology, learn about microbes and bacteria, we surely know that yeasts are a part of microorganisms or a microbe itself. There are several types of yeast, but the important ones for the baking industry, in which they are used to make buns, burger buns, are those belonging to the genus Saccharomyces cerevisiae, which means sugar-eating yeast. Yeast is used for the leavening of bread. Yeast uses the sugars and oxygen in dough to produce more yeast cells and carbon dioxide gas. This is called the multiplication process. The carbon dioxide makes the dough rise, which gives the bread a light and spongy texture. The process that those are the process that we undergo, or that dough bread do undergo to develop into burger buns, fluffy burger buns. Next, where does McDonald's get its vegetables from? Okay, next. They team up with local farmers to deliver fresh vegetables straight to its suppliers, where they are carefully washed, sanitized, and packed. The vegetables are then delivered to the restaurants and stored in temperature-controlled environments. They also work with external auditors to ensure the vegetables they grow meet the stringent food safety and quality standards. Vegetables are easily contaminated, and it can be contaminated while growing in fields due to use of organic fertilizers, or contaminated irrigation of water, or during harvesting or processing, distribution, sale, and during consumption also. So that is why they carefully wash, sanitize, and pack their vegetables before they deliver it to their restaurants nationwide, in order to ensure that the vegetables do not rot or do not oxidize getting before getting being used in the production of food. Next, how does McDonald's make its ice cream? Next, the unique soft serve ice cream is made up of milk as its base, and for that yummy taste you know and love. The coldness can really relieve the hot and humid weather of Malaysia and help us survive the day. When we talk about ice cream, we know that ice cream has milk as its base. And in terms of food preservation, milk is preserved by using the method of pasteurization, which is a process in which packaged and non-packaged foods, such as milk, are treated with mild heat, usually to less than 100 degrees Celsius, to eliminate pathogens and extend shelf life. This is because milk is easily contaminated. If we buy milk and we open it and we don't store it after we use it, it can be easily contaminated. So in order to ensure maximum preservation and zero contamination, we must always ensure that milk is stored at the optimum temperature in order to avoid any such contaminations of bacteria, pathogens, and such lah. Next.
So next up, our fellow groupmate Kami Natasha will be explaining the problems and how they overcome them.
Thank you, Afif. Next, we move to the problems and solutions. As we know, companies as big as McDonald's also often face the same problem as small company did. But the real question is, how did they solve these problems professionally? There are several problems that we have found in the internet, and below is a solution. What is solution from what McDonald's have did. So the first problem that we have found is it is usual thing when food to rot easily. But how did McDonald's maintain its food in making their food longer to rot? The solution is that McD did is the moisture of the food can lead to the growth of bacteria and mold. Therefore, McDonald's always maintaining their focus on the food's moisture, which means by keeping it dry a little until it is not suitable for the growth of these microbes. Next, the second problem is, nowadays, there are so many companies that inject their livestock such as chicken and beef and other eggs to maintain its availability, even though it is not good to the consumer health. So how did McDonald's maintain its number of livestock? The solution that McD did is by cooperating with global network of suppliers and farmers to provide high quality and massive amount of livestock. Next, even this livestock also can be affected with microbes, which is not good for people to consume it. How did McD manage the issue, and how did they ensure this livestock health by not reducing the stock count? So, the McD did. So the solution is McDonald's did partners with the veterinarians, supplier, academia, farmers to ensure these livestock in their highest quality, which is in their term of health by injecting them with suitable amount of antibiotic to ensure their health and also the consumer's health. Next is the last problem that we have found, which is food contamination also can cause the employee itself. How did McDonald's manage the issue? Since there's a lot of employees that McDonald's already employed in the company over the years. So the solution is, even though most McDonald's outlets around the globe does not require to wear gloves while preparing the food, they still maintain their hygiene by washing their hands at least once an hour. We also cannot rely on the glove because glove also can lead to the growth of bacteria too. So that's all for me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Carmen Natasha. So next part will be answering a survey that we have collected from our lovely classmates. So we have selectively chosen the three most important questions. So the first one is, with COVID restrictions being placed all over the state, and with the MCO comments again, MCO 2.0, how have our group acquired information without having physical contact with McDonald's staff? So the way that we have acquired our information, we have collected our information from various websites with the utmost credibility and that can be trusted, so that our information is precise and accurate, and our viewers have no problem understanding them, and they do not get false information or false news. And number two, regarding the issue that circulated in the past that burgers from McDonald's can last over a year. So is it safe to be consumable? I'm sure many of you have come across this video where they show that a burger from McDonald's can last for over 1 year and it does not rot. So I'll be addressing the way that McDonald's handle their burgers to be delivered in that way. So essentially, microbes that cause rotting are a lot like ourselves in that they need water, nutrients, warmth, and time to grow. So if we take one or more of these elements away, then microbes cannot grow or spoil food. In case some of you did not pay attention to Mila's explanation of McDonald's burger about moisture, in the example of McDonald's hamburger, the patty loses water in the form of steam during the cooking process. The bun loses its water by toasting it, so it reduces the amount of moisture. This means that after preparation, the hamburger is fairly dry. So when left out open in the room, there is further water loss as the humidity within most buildings is around 40%. So without the presence of moisture or high humidity, microbes fail to affect the hamburger. So it can last for a long period of time. So that is the explanation on how the burgers from McDonald's can last for a very long time. So it is not because of chemicals or any dangerous things that are implemented into the burger. And number three, McDonald's is considered the most grossing and well-established food company in Malaysia. How does that contribute to Malaysians having an alarming obesity rate? In your opinion, how many times is it considered safe to consume fast food for an average human being? So we look at the statistics for Malaysians. We have an alarming, our obesity rate is really high, that most Malaysians are very obese. And I think that McDonald's being one of the most popular fast food companies in Malaysia further highlights on how Malaysians are so well accustomed and rely heavily on fast food for our food. So I think that it is very unwise and very dangerous for our health if we we are very reliant on eating fast food as a last resort. I mean, there are many more options out there that we can eat. For example, our home cooked meals are very safe and contain much more nutrients. So, in order to answer the question, how many times is it considered to consume fast food? I think that two, three, or even four is the most maximum rate for an average human being to eat McDonald's, KFC, Pizza Hut. It doesn't matter in a month. If you exceed the amount, then it is considered very dangerous for your health, and it can cause obesity that accumulates to that statistics that I have said just now. So with that, we have ended our presentation. We thank you all for listening, and thank you very much.